We have to get into the label believed to have deleted or removed some members and why people are talking about this. We also have RM protested recently after he released a new picture, and then we have some shocking clips of Jimin and JK being released. So hey Dumplings, it's Dave Desai, let's get into it. The internet has woken up in a frenzy after they realized that the new episode of Are You Sure with Jimin and JK dropped, and a brand new look into their life, let's say, is what we got. The internet always freaks out after we see the members shirtless, especially now that they have more abs and that sort of stuff. It's definitely worth freaking out about. This was a moment where Jimin and JK had come out of the pool and they just wanted to flex and be cute in front of the camera, so they came out. They're obviously shirtless, which we don't usually see. We don't usually see much of that in general. Typically, if they come out of the pool, they definitely are wearing a full bodysuit, so it's rare to see them half naked. And this time we get to see their abs and the body that they've worked so hard to achieve. People were loving how cute this was, just seeing them flex in front of the camera, because the whole point of flexing in front of the camera is to show off their muscles, which was something that they had never been able to do before. Or maybe they didn't even want to do before. It really shows how long they've been able to come around as being shirtless and then being okay with it, and even having their label be okay with it, because at the end of the day I would assume that the label has to approve, and then also they have to be comfortable with it, right? But they've also come a long way in how they present themselves, similarly like in Western culture. Just even going to America and then being with American people, they're able to see that men being shirtless is not a big deal. It's not a scandal. And then on top of that, they're able to see that most people wouldn't think twice about it. So when you're having a show and it's being put on Disney Plus or an American streaming service, this is not something that would be an issue that the general population in America is going to freak out about. People thought this was very shocking, and it was only about a matter of time, because imagine if they turned 50, 60, even 70 and realized that they had never had a moment to show how good they looked when they were younger. If I had a body like that, I would at least want a record of it somewhere. It would kind of suck looking back when you're much older and realizing that you never really showed it off or did anything like that. And most people who have abs or who look really good shirtless, they're not shy about taking off their shirt and showing that. So why should Jimin and JK? So I'm really glad that they got a chance to do that, and I'm really glad that the boys have this opportunity to even have their own show where they feel comfortable in showcasing things like this. Because if they felt like they didn't look as good as maybe they wanted, they could easily just edit it out and not post it, right? So I hope to see more things like this, and I don't just mean a lot of shirtless moments, although that's fine, I think, but I mean moments where they feel comfortable in being in front of the camera and showing things that most people do, and things that are normal without worrying about a scandal. Most guys, if they're with their friends or with their family, they're usually shirtless all the time, and especially if they live with other people, those other people will at one point see them shirtless. It's not really considered a sexual thing or anything like that. It's just how they feel most comfortable. Now, while that's a fun thing, there has been some drama that has been ongoing and brewing within the label. So if you're not aware, there's currently this lawsuit going on with Ador and the main part of HYBE. I don't have to explain this lawsuit. I'm sure most of you know what it's about, and if you don't know, then there's a plethora of videos on this page, as well as a plethora of videos on every single Korean news site. But recently, something has come out that made a lot of people a little bit more upset, as they feel like NewJeans have sort of gotten in the middle of this when the initial promise was promising that they wouldn't be affected during the lawsuit. Now, I could be wrong, but I think the point of the lawsuit isn't even money. I don't think either party wants money from each other. I think they just want to be able to act independently and have freedom within the label, which maybe one feels like they don't have, and then the other one feels like they've given a lot of. And so a lawsuit doesn't always have to equate to spending money or either party having to spend money. Maybe the legal fees, but the point of a lawsuit can sometimes be to settle an argument. Then the argument will be settled in court by a third-party person who is unbiased, and the law can see who is right and who's wrong. So this is something that I've seen a lot of people get confused about, and it kind of irks me that a lawsuit doesn't necessarily mean one person's right and one person's wrong. It means they're having an argument. One side could be partially correct, one side could partially be wrong, and just like any other argument, that is very much possible. There's two sides of a story, and instead of just yelling at each other, it can now become a public thing with lawyers involved that can finally settle it and figure out what to do. And sometimes it could even be a middle ground. And there's things like a judge that can come in and say definitively this has to be done, and that's it. Now, that's a little bit of a side note, but what's actually really important is that apparently NewJeans uploaded a video. Now, people aren't exactly clear if this was a video or this channel was even run by the label first, and even if the label knew about it, or if this was like a channel that the girls just did on their own. The girls had a notepad in front of them. It seemed at one point they were reading off of it, and so people were confused as to what this whole situation was even about. The stream was even talking about how the girls wanted Min Hee-jin to continue to be the CEO, and if you're unaware, she is not the CEO anymore. So this video allegedly was to put a little bit of heat back on the label, or at least get the public to side with them as well as side with Min. What was interesting was people felt like this could result in the girls getting dropped or something really bad to happen, because this is definitely something that's going against the label now. This was interesting because right after the stream and right after it ended, it seemed like the channel and the video both got completely deleted. So it's definitely interesting or curious to a lot of people as to why everything moved in that direction, and if this was maybe even the point. To kind of just drop a video, people were to see it, and it was going to make headlines. Like, was that the reason? I personally stay pretty neutral with this whole situation. I'm not on any particular side. I think what's happened, especially with this, is a little bit strange, but I don't know the full backstory about what's going on behind the scenes. Perhaps there was a point to the madness and the point was achieved. We're just not aware of what that point is. Maybe we'll look back in a few years and be like, oh my God, she was a genius. I can't believe she did all this. Or we might look back and say a lot of it was pointless. Who knows? Now, if you're unaware, it has recently been RM's birthday. He announced that he has turned 30, so congratulations. It's very shocking to see how many members are going to be 30 very soon, so it's beautiful to watch them grow. And recently, RM has decided to bless us with a post as well as a message for his birthday. He ended up posting something on his Instagram, and then he left a message being fairly vague, like he was talking about how he was feeling, but he did specifically say in the note that he wasn't going to get into depth about how he was feeling because he didn't know what those feelings were yet. This is such a valid thing to say, because I would much prefer this response than someone sitting there trying to make up a story or trying to fabricate an emotion just so that people could feel something. When if you don't feel something, it's okay to just say that. Now, that's a very simplified version of what happened. There's a little bit more stuff, and you can go into more detail with like the note and all that stuff if you look it up, but that's the gist of everything. Now, the part I wanted to talk about today is actually one of the photos that he posted on his Instagram. People were freaking out, and I'm sure RM knew that people would freak out, as he posted a picture of him with a baby. He had his marriage and child allegations for a really long time. People think he's married and that he has children. And so since people think that, it's almost exploded the picture, because people were wondering who this baby was. If this was his, and if this was his way of announcing that he was a father. And so many people, before really looking into it, really felt like this might have just been his announcement. Like it was going to be his birthday, and then alongside that he was going to announce that he had a baby for the last year or two. People looked into it, and it was not his baby. I don't really know how the community found out that it wasn't his baby, but they not only found out that it wasn't, but they found out who the baby allegedly belongs to. Now, I can't really back up who this belongs to and if it's true, but let's go with who they think it is. His name is Kim Young-jin, and he is believed to be the designer for BTS, and he's done some work with them. So this would make sense as to why RM is even next to this baby, right? Like, this is how they know each other. This is the part that infuriates me, as there has been rumors going around that apparently Young-jin, the designer, posted photos of his baby completely wearing no clothes on his Instagram. This is by far the strangest rumor, and I don't know why someone would come up with that. I look like an actual psychopath, as I was Googling his name alongside with what I believe the name of this scandal would be if he posted something like this. And I could not find any headlines or any record of this at all. I could not even find people who had actual solid evidence of this. There's no news articles of this. Like, you would think if someone who is like the BTS stylist or BTS designer or something like that, or to do something as controversial as posting naked pictures of someone, let's say, way underage, there are no news articles of this. Like, you would think if someone who is like the BTS stylist or the BTS designer, and they were to do something as controversial as posting naked pictures of someone, let's say, way underage, that there would be so many headlines about this. The fact that people just make things up and say these things is absolutely insane. Why would you attempt to ruin someone's name and ruin someone's life over something that you made up? Like, there are people who have dated people who have posted bad pictures of their baby and daughter, but it's not this person. So the rumor could be mixing up someone else. And that's even more frustrating because then the person that is being accused of this really did nothing except exist. And then people are just assuming that they are someone else. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out Patreon for more videos. Link down below. Thanks for this little bit comment right here. Love you. Bye.